Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Zach Lyon still on assignment in Mobile, Alabama, site of the 76th Annual Reese's Senior Bowl. Rhett Bryan here filling in for Zach.
Wow.
With the hitman, Blaine Bishop.
Always educating there, Rhett, man. 76?
How about that?
Wow, I did not know.
Well, think about this. This just tells how special a career you had because you played in the 1993 Senior Bowl and was inducted into the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame in 2017.
17, okay.
I mean, there's over 5,000 guys that played in that, you know.
Only 5,000.
Well, no, I mean, think about it. And you're one of the Hall of Famers. It's not there's less than there are Pro Football Hall of Famers in the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame. And you're one of them.
Yeah.
You were inducted with, Lance Briggs of the Bears.
Yeah, Briggs was, the front, the forefront. I was third, and naturally Briggs was second, but naturally Jim Harbaugh was the forefront. He was hilarious when he was up there, too, man. He had me dying laughing, too, because we only overlapped maybe like a year or two, and then he retired. And he was like, Blaine, we went 0-2 versus he kind of went down that road. He was funny. He's a quirky, funny guy, man. I keep in touch with him here and there, man. I love him to death, though, because he's just different, but it all works. And he gets football, a great football guy, great football family.
Sure.
By the way, not just his brother, but his dad, too, when he's at Western Kentucky. So, yeah, that was really an enlightening, fun time there when I was there at the Senior Bowl, just as a not when I get inducted, but actually it made me look back to where I was in my mindset as an actual player, really being wet around the whistle and, not knowing what's coming and going, in 1993. That was the year Alabama won the national title.
Mm-hmm.
Curry and Copeland, the two D linemen who were outstanding first-round pick guys, didn't play. Naturally, I was playing cornerback at that time. And George Teague was a corner, too. And everybody remembers him in the we keep in touch, too. He intercepted the ball and won the national championship. I think it was against the U or whoever
it was. Yeah.
And he was blazing. And we had two-a-days during that time. So just think about that.
And that was, I'm so glad you led into this.
I was exhausted.
Yeah, this is exactly.
Because all the Alabama guys weren't practicing that, includes George Teague. So I was the guy because I wanted to showcase being from Ball State because most people didn't even know where it was in the South there.
Gene Stallings, national champion. Yeah, and that was over the U, and I believe Gino Torretta.
Yes.
The Heisman Trophy winner. Your teammate Lemansky Hall was on that team.
Yes, he was.
All right. So, and by the way,
Derek Glassick, who played in the game.
Yes.
Odin was the linebacker. Curry Copeland, a Teague. I forgot. We had, I want to say it was Wimley or Palmer. One of the two guys. One of those smaller jitterbug guys.
The Deuce, David Palmer.
Yeah, it was one of the guys, one of those guys that were playing there, too. So it felt like it was an all-Alabama team, at least the side I was on. I can't remember. And then I remember, I think it was Ted Marchabroda, maybe the coach of the Colts.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's might be why I played so well against the Colts. Hometown guy.
Maybe.
And then at Ball State, broke down a Renault Encore to the combine with interior hanging. And
the old headliner drip. I like it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I had to, keep it off my fro, my box fro back then.
By the way, I should mention we are on YouTube, on Zone TV, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, F&M Bank Chat. So join us if you'd like. If you want to hop in on a topic we're going to address here in a little bit, certainly would ask you to do that at 615-737-1045. I'm glad you went into this, though, because that is how much the Senior Bowl has changed. At Ladd-Peebles Stadium, it used to be. Now it's at Whitney Hancock Stadium on the campus of South Alabama University,
South Alabama. Great
which
facilities.
is a fantastic. Like, you would never know if you hadn't been to Mobile. Yeah, South Alabama. That's a legit facility. What a nice place. But I'm glad you mentioned the two-a-days because Coach Mack was talking about this while we were watching practice the other day. He goes, man, just think about how much this has changed. He talked about the two-a-day practices. He said one of the reasons why it's so different now is because of those kinds of things. He said one year he said that Rex Ryan. Buddy Ryan. One year, Buddy Ryan was coaching. He made him do two-a-days, and I think when Max said maybe when he coached it, or I can't remember which, but Marquand Manuel tore his ACL in the fourth quarter of the Senior Bowl. And that's one of the reasons why they don't do anything like they used to in regards to that. Wow. But you hit something that I'd wanted to ask you, being a part of the 93 Senior Bowl. Who were some of your teammates? Of course, you reeled off of several of those. But I've always been interested to hear what that was like. Did it help set a compass for you at the next level as to not necessarily what to expect, but what did it do that week and that experience do shaping up your direction at that point?
Wow, man, so I was so excited to get invited because that happened after I went to the Blue Gray, or the week before I went to the Blue Gray, which doesn't even exist today.
That's correct.
That was in Alabama as well.
Yep.
And then I got invited to the Combine and the Senior Bowl that week right before the Blue Gray. So I was super excited, pumped up. Everything I thought about what I could be was starting to happen in my mind anyway. I always took on challenges, so it was another step in that direction. So I went down there, and that's when I really started to want to prove that I belong. Really that was it. Because now, at that time, not a lot of TV games for Mac, if any. So, you see all these guys on the teams that were on TV from Colorado back then to Alabama, all these teams that were always really good. And how do you stack up against them? Going against them in practice. And I love challenges. And at that time, I was just off the charts, just super motivated to show that I belong. It was a lifelong dream that I'd have this shot, and I gave it everything I had from that point on. So when I got there, man, what I remember from that experience was the two-a-days, naturally really hard. Coach were the coaches. And going against like Quadri Ishmael, the missile.
The missile, yes.
So, I remember the Rocket when he was at Notre Dame, because I really wanted to go to Notre Dame. I went to a private Catholic high school in Cathedral High School, still a prominent school there in Indy. And so it felt like, I'm getting to play his brother, So that was one of the things to say, okay, let me see how fast the missile is, because I've seen him on TV, and I'm like, okay, how good is he? And so I wanted to match up with him man to man. I felt like, hey, I can't run with this guy if I want to get in a foot race, but if I get my hands on him, now we down to my level of speed. And so every day just kept building, and I kind of built this confidence as I went along, because I was showcasing that I do belong. And so once you start getting to that level of confidence, then you feel like you can do anything. And that's really what it showed against the elite of the elite as far as college players. And that really started the confidence, not just the Blue Gray, but then it was more high-profile players in the Senior Bowl. So it really justified what I thought I could do. And you need that affirmation as an athlete to prove that what you think is actually right. Regardless of you getting invited there, to me, I looked at it as another opportunity to showcase that I do belong. And after I finished that week, I showcased. I was a corner my entire. I've never played safety until I got to the Titans, and that was based off of guys getting injured, by the way, in training camp. So I was really, really pumped up and excited when that practice week was over. I'm sure, I don't know if Jim, but Phil Savage, I think Jim for sure, but knows, I was running with Quadri Ishmael one of the practice on a post route. We were man to man, and I was running so fast. I had never run that fast before in my life. I couldn't stop, and I ran into the goalpost. I ran into the goalpost.
Wow!
And so that was like on a Thursday practice. So I didn't. It was at the end of practice almost anyway. But I didn't have to practice after that. So that was one of the funny, great memories there when I was there. But I also remember B-Hop being there, and I remember him showcasing his talent. I remember, reason why I remember B-Hop, because we were both Midwest guys, was they stopped kind of practice a little bit to watch one-on-ones when B-Hop was going against one of these savage, high-level defensive end pass rusher guys. And that really kind of escalated him up the board to, a higher first-round pick. So that was pretty cool. So we kind of had that connection, having those kind of conversations. That's how we became roommates there our rookie year, of him going first round, me in the last round. So, yeah, that was some great time there. Oh, this is another memory from there, which is funny. This has nothing to do with me playing, by the way. So every time we got off the bus to go to practice, they were shaking people's hands and giving them like, $200 or something. I thought it was per diem or something for the practices or something, I didn't know. But remember, Alabama won the national championship. So I started saying, hey, man, where's mine? And they were like, you don't play for Alabama. You don't win the national championship. So they were giving them money in their hand. I remember this like no other.
Wow.
Yes.
A little tip money. Hey, I appreciate you.
Right. I don't know if they were alumni. I thought they were affiliated with the Senior Bowl at the time. Remember now, I'm only like 21. Right. So I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, dang. And I was also mad that most of the guys, especially the cornerbacks or DB guys, Teague, because we always tease them, that they weren't practicing. So I was out there doing extra reps, and I was exhausted. But I gave it all I got.
And you didn't get any money coming off the bus.
Yeah, I did. I didn't get any money. I was like, oh, those Alabama guys. Because I had no clue. I thought it was the Senior Bowl handing them money. Because, hey, man, he gave you money. He's like, yeah.
Where's...
He's like,
do I not get per diem? Like, what are we doing?
I'm going to have to ask the guy next time. They miss me.
Oh, my gosh.
Turn.
All right, so we will get to your calls, and there's people starting to call in, 615-737-1045. We're going down memory lane. It's a Run It Back Friday, I'm calling this, on Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan in for Zach Lyons, who is on assignment still in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. But, yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of fun stuff over the next hour and change. And we will get to your phone calls, too. And we're going to talk about some of the prospects that are this year's Senior Bowl and talk about some of those group of 5 prospects that are coming from smaller schools and who may have made some money and some noise this week. That is all ahead on Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Zach Lyons enjoying himself in Mobile, Alabama. 76th Annual Reese's Senior Bowl takes place tomorrow at Whitney Hancock Stadium, and that's where he is. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach with the hitman, Blaine Bishop. And we're talking about Senior Bowl memories of Blaine's, and we're going to get to some more memories of Blaine's in hour two that I think we'll find everyone will find interesting in this. Let's go to the phones and talk to a couple of folks here. Tristan in Brentwood has been waiting patiently. What's up, Tristan?
Thank you for taking my call. Hey, Blaine, what position did you play in football, corner or safety? Like Shaquem Simmons, the ASU safety or corner? Did you watch him last night, like in the Senior Bowl, the one in Texas? He was doing great plays. I think Titans should draft him.
What school did he go to? He was in the East-West, or was he the Senior?
Yeah, it was East-West Shrine game last night.
Yes, he transferred to Austin Peay, then transferred to ASU. He wore number 7.
Oh, I watched briefly a little bit of that, and I didn't see a lot, so I don't know who that player is. No.
All right, Tristan.
But the position that I played my entire life was running back, and I played both sides of the ball. I started running back in high school and cornerback, and I never played safety. Now I played a little safety senior year. One of our teammates tore his ACL. I played safety a little bit at the last 3 weeks. That's when I learned about being a true teammate, and that the best player coming off the bench would have been a cornerback. And coach was like, look, I really don't have somebody good enough to play at safety, so I'm going to move you there and put him at corner, another guy, not Mark Collins. He played for the Giants. It was Sean Collins. And so I did it for 3 games, but that was it. I had never played safety before in my life until I actually got to the pros. And that was through injuries. But lucky for me, Buddy Ryan, who actually really picked me as his player, and late great Buddy Ryan, said I was smart and acted as though, like most coaches, this is only going to be temporary, Rhett. Oh, you're just doing it until some of these guys. Well, you got Mark Robb towards ACL. At that time, Mike Dumas was a second-round pick, I think, or late first round from IU, and then someone else got injured, so they just said, hey, just for a stopgap during the preseason, which was only one game, that they moved me there, and then I guess I did pretty good because it was really a complex defense, and you had to know your adjustments. You had to learn how to be a quick thinker in every formation, and then when they motion, it would change to a whole and totally different defense. So I memorized all the adjustments at that time, and to be honest, out of fear that I don't even know if I'm going to make the team. And I thought I'd probably, at worst case scenario, just because of my football acumen, that I'd probably be a special teamer or maybe on the practice squad. That's kind of what my thought process was going into that preseason, based off of having mini camps, OTAs, and everything else. We had a really good team my rookie year. I got there. I'm like, well, why did they drafted like 4 DBs 2 years ago? I mean, none of these dudes are playing now. They're playing. I'm like, what am I here for? That was with Mark Robb, Darrell Lewis, Stevie J, who's now one of the DB coaches now. And so they actually really schooled me. And the guy who really helped me out a lot at that time was Stevie J, because our skill sets were very similar. There was a little connection because he was from Texas, but he went to Purdue. So I had watched him a little bit before, and then before that era was Rod Woodson, who was a legend there in Indiana, where I'm from. So that was really cool just to kind of get to know him a little bit, and kind of help me figure out my way and use my quickness, not necessarily my speed, because I wasn't a speed demon by any means. But I was tough, I was smart, and I had good lateral quickness. So I felt like you use those attributes to help you in these coverages and don't get exposed, really. And then once I got moved to safety, then there was never any exposure because I'm not running 40 yards of somebody down the field. So it made it become a lot easier for me. So I wasn't upset at that at all. So that was really kind of fun time. And then once I learned all the angles and inside and out with great coaching, by the way, The rest was kind of pretty much history at that point in time. That's why I always talk about the neck up. It's not always about your athletic ability. There was a lot of guys that are probably a little bit faster on other teams or a little bit better, but my hunger and love for the game and my acumen really stood out. That was going to be the difference. You may beat me on one play, but guess what? Let's throw it over here again and see what happens. And that's kind of what was my motto, really.
Key and diagnose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up about the neck up, too, because you hear Brian Callahan talk about that as the season was over and talking about a player's nervous system and the cerebral part of this. And
I had never heard somebody explain it like that, by the way, either.
And it made more sense when he did.
It did.
Now, I knew you'd get it because you lived it, but it made more sense to me. By the way, Eric in the F&M bank chat, where's my $200? LOL. He's talking about you at the Senior Bowl. Where's my $200?
Where was my money, man? Where's my handshake?
Come on, where's the love?
I need some cheddar.
What are we doing?
Chirp. What's going on here?
Come on.
But I did not know it was for the national championship.
Let's go back to the phones here. Kenny, the mailman's been waiting patiently. Hello, sir.
Hello, good friends. Do y'all want to go down memory lane?
Let's go.
Absolutely, Kenny.
That's my absolute favorite street. Y'all have named 3 or 4 of the bowl games, all-star games that they don't play anymore. Believe it or not, y'all are not old enough to remember this. You'll have to hit Coach Mack up. But there was a college all-stars versus the Super Bowl. Before that, NFL championship team that won it. Did y'all know that?
No, what year was that?
I've read about it. Yeah.
It stopped about 1973 or 4, and the All-Stars only won one. Usually it was throwing red meat to the caged animals. That's how the score was. But the last one was in Chicago, and it was such a downpour. The Pittsburgh Steelers were playing them and was way ahead. They said, we're not coming out the second half. We just got to call the game. It was one of those you couldn't even see. It was raining
deluge,
so hard. 4 or 5 of the All-Stars made the mistake of saying the Steelers didn't want to play them and finish the game, and they circled their names and looked for them during the regular season and gave them a little dose of medicine because of what they said before that. So look up that All-Star versus the Super Bowl champ and ask Coach Mack about it. I guarantee you he has great stories about it.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
All right, Kenny, thank you. Happy Friday. Yeah, Run It Back Friday here on Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach Lyons. And, that doesn't surprise me that they did that, and I have read about that before. There's still a lot of crossover, weird games like that in baseball where they'd have, all-stars in college versus some of the MLB players. I'm like, really? You want to go up against Willie Mays and, what?
Man, I can't imagine.
Can you imagine?
Do you recall anything with the football one?
No. I have to go back and.
I know you're a historian, though. You know a lot of history. I don't I watched a lot, but
Joe Green was wrecking people back then, man. Are you kidding me?
That's when I did not like the Steelers. I was more on the Cowboy side of that big deal of Steelers versus Cowboys. I was at that time growing up. I was
too. Well, and here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because we're old enough, before there was DirecTV, Sunday Ticket, all those things, you got the game of the week.
Right.
You got the game of the week. And guess who was usually in the game of the week? It was the Cowboys and somebody in our region of the United States. Yep. You and I didn't live that far apart before we ever knew each other, and we were in that television sector. But and that is why in Nashville you will find some of the oldest factions and fan groups of the National Football League are the Washingtons, Green Bays, Dallas, Pittsburgh, stuff like that. But, I'm with you on that. All right, so the Senior Bowl practices have wrapped up. The game starts tomorrow. I think that's on NFL Network tomorrow afternoon.
Real quick question before you start about the Senior Bowl. I think a lot of people haven't discussed it. I don't know if you know, but talk about and maybe I'm going to say this wrong, not the actual rules of the game. And when I say this, not football rules that are changed, that you can only play cover 3 or cover 2 or whatever it is. Naturally, you can't blitz.
Yeah, you can't rush the quarterback.
You're right. I think you can't run trips formation on offense.
That's right. There's a handful. You've named the big ones. Those are the big ones.
All right, yeah.
But, it's very regimented.
Very bland, and they want to just see if guys can play. Really in the game.
And honestly, if I'm telling, I don't want Jim Nagy to hear this and go, hey, what are you talking about? The practices is what the evaluators are looking at.
Oh, no, the games doesn't matter.
And that's why,
honest, yes.
with the way it is now, a lot of these guys that have made their money check out.
They leave, yeah.
They make a smart business decision, and they use that to go, all right, now if I get invited to the combine, we can build on and keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So, and by the way, Jim Nagy that's a great job with all of that down there. I think they are just within a couple of hundred tickets of having their third consecutive sellout. There'll be 25,000 people there tomorrow. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I love hanging out and going to the golf tournament stuff that they do every year too. So man, that's why I've said I've been to the
sure.
Jim Nagy from Phil Savage. I wouldn't want to follow Phil, but man, he has done an incredible job.
He's crushed it. No, Phil Savage did a fantastic job, but he's just like taking it to another level. It's really wild.
He really has.
I think one of the things that is in his favor in November of 2023, when the league decided that underclassmen can play in these games. Oh. Now, there wasn't as many this time a year ago in last year's Senior Bowl, but now you got a calendar year plus of guys knowing they have that option. And, man, some of the underclassmen in this one, I mean, there'll be names that'll be called that weekend in April. I mean, there was some impressive dudes there.
Got any off the top of your head? Just we would know. Skill guys probably more so for me. But
and let me hang on. I'll find.
I know some guys really turned out, but I didn't know that juniors now can play.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
and I think that goes for the East-West Shrine game too.
And that made me think about, just while you're filtering through all your notes, should the NFL change the rule of when you can come out? And what made me think about that, the Ohio State receiver, can they come out after sophomore year now if they start not just if they start, but if they're good enough, or the receiver from Alabama may not be bigs, but do you think that should start being something that should be discussed? Maybe not immediately.
Well, let me say this. I mean, as much as the game with those kinds of things that have changed both at the college and the NFL level, I guess anything's possible. Because, I mean, we got NIL and transfer portal and all of that.
Oh, well.
I don't know how guys in college coach that stuff. I mean, you talk about, that's the wild, wild west. But with the way things have changed, I mean, who was it? The running back from Ohio State, that
Maurice Claret.
Yeah, challenged that. Of course, did not win. But I think there's part of it too, and you would be able to speak on this way better than I would, because you did it. But the maturity level that you need, I guess, when because I mean, you're going into, in this window, that's the end of all these guys that had 6 years of eligibility because of COVID and those kinds of things. You got some guys that are like married and have kids and are in their mid-20s almost. And if you're 17, 18 years old, there's still a gap there. Now,
well, they won't be 17, 18. They'll be more 20 and up.
Yeah.
20 and up. And the reason why I say that is because, the NBA does it, baseball does it. Reason why I'm saying now, we're starting to see, which is fascinating. I didn't think this would ever happen. The guys are starting and dominating at power conferences immediately. And I go, well, whoa, what is this guy on? Like the number 4 for, I know his last name is Smith, for Ohio State, the wide receiver.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I go, well, dang, he looks NFL ready already. Well, where is he going?
The kid from Alabama,
right?
too.
So where is he going? Right, the Williams kid. So I go, man, I mean, it'd be crazy to see that, his junior year, he tears his ACL. And he's been dominating the first 2 years of his career.
And now he's behind the 8 ball going into the next level.
So that's why I'm asking.
Sure.
I don't know if we're there yet, but is there time to start having that kind of conversation where I would have never thought this was even feasible before, because of the bodies where your bodies need to be, that show how much advanced, not only colleges, but the kids coming out of high school, some of these elite guys that off the charts freak of nature type, athletes, you're starting to say, hey, man, I mean, if he's doing that freshman year at Ohio State,
where they got a track team and
right. Hey, man, I think he could just go into a camp and he at least be a solid starter right now after freshman year.
No, that's something to think about. Now, those I think are fewer and further between.
They are.
Those don't come down to pike every minute.
But we're starting to see them where we never saw them.
And
before.
I think part of that goes back to. I think about something Mike Detillier, who was our draft expert on Titans Radio all those years. He said it best. He goes, 7-on-7 changed the world.
That's what.
I mean, man, especially when you're talking about skill positions now. And that's why there's a pipeline of receivers and backs coming out every year. It just seems like they're, So I think that has something to do with it.
That's sped up the,
a little accelerator pedal there, yeah. So underclassmen at this year's Senior Bowl, there's one guy who really, he was going to be fine anyway because of some lineage he's got, but I think made himself a lot of money this week is the tight end from LSU, Mason Taylor, son of Hall of Fame pass rusher Jason Taylor and his uncle Zach Thomas, both 2 gold jackets in the family. But 6'4", 250, hands 9 7/8, wings 78 2/8, and it's a good tight end class this year. People are talking about Tyler Warren from Penn State. We saw what he did in the college football playoff.
He's got to be number 1, right?
I would think so.
Arroyo was looking pretty good, too, and I watched him in some games, but boy.
Arroyo looked good this week, too.
Oh, my God. He's got to be the number 1 tight end off the board.
Mason Taylor, I think, has a chance to be in that first 3 or 4 guys mentioned just because of what he did this week. And he's a smart guy. Had a chance to sit down and talk to him, and I think the thing that's impressive about him, first of all, he leaves LSU as the all-time receiver for tight ends in receiving yards and catches. Oh, wow. And you talking about, now, he wasn't used as much because he's out there playing with Brian Thomas Jr., who's the Jaguar, who's the Titans' nightmare twice a year in Jacksonville, and obviously Malik Neighbors. Right. But, this guy, and he can run a full route tree. Like, this guy's legit, and he can help you in an inline situation. Like, he's very versatile and a smart guy. Yeah. But I think he made himself a lot of money this week. I really do. And that's just, just watch him rocket on up the charts here.
Yeah, watching him at LSU and knowing he was Jason Taylor's son from freshman year where he played a lot. Matter of fact, I don't know if he started, but he played his first 3 years all over the place. I mean, and he was playing and contributing, and you saw his confidence level grow, and you say, this guy is going to be an NFL player. Just a matter if he can be consistent and continue to grow and improve on his blocking, because I think most all the 707 everybody wants to catch the ball.
And that's what most of these tight ends have to work on anyway. The true inline. Got better at it
in SEC, and then boom, there it was.
A lot of them are just big receivers, right? So
So do you think he's an impactful? Who would you compare him to that's actually in the league, and then will he be that kind of impact game changer at tight end? Well, I'm going to start with Bowers. We saw what he did. We knew he was going to be elite, right? Where does Taylor stack up to that? I don't think he's
at the tier of Bowers.
Right.
He's probably in the next tier, near the top of that next tier.
But in this draft class, he's where?
He's right up there with...
At the top.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Tyler Warren for Penn State, and Colston Loveland is another one. There's another guy who was one of the group of 5 conferences. I can't get used to saying that, but the smaller schools, a kid from Bowling Green, Harold Fannin Jr.
He looked fantastic. I watched him the last 2 days. He was super athletic.
Not too shabby, huh?
Shocked me. I would put him right in that group with Taylor.
Not too shabby.
I'm still Penn State guy is my number 1 guy.
Oh, yeah. No,
Arroyo's right. I don't know. Arroyo's number 2 for me. Fannin right there. See, this is what happens.
You start thinking about him.
You start saying, this guy. See, this is what happens.
And then there's him. And then there's him.
This is what happens in the draft rooms there, and they just conflicted on, I like this guy. He's really good, too.
Let me give you another guy that made himself a lot of money. In fact, he dipped out yesterday, and that's Mike Green from Marshall. Yeah, Mike Green, the Virginia transfer. So, first of all, you can't be a dummy and go to Virginia. Like, you've got to be pretty damn smart. And he is a smart young man, but 6'3" and an 1/8, 251, hands 8 5/8, arms 32 1/8, and wingspan 6'5" and a quarter. So not the longest, but the explosion, short area quickness is there. And you're talking about a guy that he went and took a chance on himself going to Marshall, led the country in quarterback sacks with 17 this year. And he's somebody that I think with everybody looking for pass rushers, I think he has a chance to sneak in and be a first rounder in this draft.
First rounder.
I think he made himself a lot of money. I really do, because I think he will test well at the combine. And again, the between the ears test, just talking to a prospect, and I don't know anything about what the teams ask or do, but he will make it. He will make an impression.
You guys interviewed him with Titans Radio,
right?
We
did. Yeah.
Why did he transfer from Virginia to Marshall? Did that question ever come up?
We didn't get to that.
I'm always curious on that, because I always think of the mindset of the actual athlete. Yeah. Was it because you wasn't getting the playing time? Was it because the coach left? I want to hear some form of that, because it tells me a little bit about your competitive nature.
Yep.
Like, I was at a Division II school my freshman year. I could have stayed there and been an All-American every year I was there. But I wanted to see how I stacked up. I wanted to go to a bigger, high level, see what I really was about, to see if I could step it up.
Right.
So I want to see if some guys are like that in their mindset. Doesn't mean they still aren't a good player. So first thing I did was go watch him against Ohio State. And guess what he did? Because I thought his arms weren't quite long enough, as you mentioned.
Right.
And I go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. He was giving him the business.
The motor's there.
Yeah. So he definitely, to your point, I don't know if first rounder, but I think he's a situational pass rusher right now.
Bingo.
Put on some weight, but, that's got to be careful with that with these speed rushers. But somebody may value him as a high rotational guy. So and I'm always, looking to compare him to a current player. So you got any?
I don't off the top of my head, but.
Well, I'm going to just say this. I know they're not built the same. Arden Key. Not built the same, so to get that out your head.
Yeah.
But his role, because that's really what role he should be in.
And the style, too.
Yeah, he should be the third guy.
Speed to power rusher.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Yeah, because you're right. The frame and all that's different. But
yeah.
And we'll get to some more of these guys on the other side of this as we finish up hour one of Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan in for Zach Lyons this afternoon, as he is going to take in the rest of the sights and the sounds of the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. We'll get to that. And if you want to chime in, 615-737-1045. Next hour, going to be real fun. Blaine played in Super Bowl 34 25 years ago yesterday.
No, it was just yesterday.
It does seem like it was just yesterday. There are times it does.
Jackson and Bananas weren't even born. Where were you?
Jackson was. I was not alive yet.
Yeah. But you were like an infant, right, Jackson?
A month old.
He was a month
old.
So he was an infant.
Wow.
But anyway, we're going to go down memory lane. It's a Run It Back Friday here on Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. We want to talk to you, though, 615-737-1045. We're going to do some really cool stuff in the next little bit, certainly next hour. That is all on Cover 2 here on 1045, The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach Lyons. The Hitman right here, ready to roll and finish up hour 1. Senior Bowl, 2025 Senior Bowl happens tomorrow. Been down there in Mobile myself. And I'm going to tell you somebody else. You were asking me about some guys. This is just defies logic to me. And everybody's watching those O-line, D-line drills because seeing who's doing what. And those things are deceiving because you'll see somebody post where some pass rusher blew up a dude, and then you don't see maybe 2 or 3 plays reps later where he didn't do as much.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
right, of course.
In the same way, opposite, on the offensive line. But this guy, Willie Lampkin from North Carolina.
Oh, I didn't see him.
Interior offensive lineman. Get this. He came in. Now, he's got great size hands, bare hands, 10 3/8 inches, 78-inch wing. Blaine, he came in at 5'10", 270 pounds.
North Carolina.
Yes, sir. 5'10", 270 pounds. And so you have the same look that I did when I'm looking at this guy's measurables. And I'm like,
is he a wrestler or something?
Bingo.
Oh, I knew because they understand how to get inside. There's no way he could have played. That's why I said North Carolina. Like, I didn't see this guy at practice. I saw the North Dakota State guy and NC State guy that I liked, but I never saw the UNC guy.
I'm telling you, he held his own against some mighty fine
leverage. It's about leverage.
And so, yeah, to your point, 4,100 snaps at left guard, center, and right guard at North Carolina. So well-versed, well-played. 2024 AP First Team All-American.
I thought you were going to say All-ACC. No, All-American.
All-American.
Was he a state wrestling champ or something in high school?
To your point, had to be. Wrestling state champ at 285 pounds. He was heavier then.
Oh, well, he had his high school baby fat.
But is that not crazy?
Well, it's crazy that he's only 5'10". So that means what did they list him at in college? 6 feet? 6'1"?
They always
of course.
flub on those numbers.
Man,
so, yeah, I would say
that is pretty amazing. I knew the only way that could happen is if they were wrestlers. All my offensive linemen in high school wrestled. All of them were 5'10", and we were all the same height.
How about that?
And we ran the ball every freaking play. And I'm like, how are you blocking that guy? He's like, oh, man, it's all about leverage. It's just like wrestling one-on-one. That's why most, even here today, still today in the state of Tennessee, most linemen wrestle because it's the one-on-one combat, and you start understanding how you have to get leverage and get your hands inside, and the low man wins. And regardless if you like it or not, parents that are listening, whether you win matches or not, it helps you with football. No question. Here's how I know it really does. I'd see a prospect that's going to Michigan, and he's 6'5", and he's 270. He goes against a 5'10" pass rusher. Guys not even going to play college football, and dominates the big guy because he doesn't understand that he has to get leverage even if a small guy and they can run around you. So it's some benefits all over the place with wrestling, and it translates to offensive linemen. Not just in high school, but college and pro.
Now, the thing this guy, obviously he doesn't have, he's not massive as we've described in this, but now his lower body and his core, legit because of what we're talking about.
Oh, wow. What's his quads? I know he got some massive quads.
Yeah, there's some tree trunkage. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they call them. I love
but
wow, that's impressive.
As soon as I started going this, and you're going, wait a minute.
I've never heard of this guy.
You didn't say All-ACC first team. I said All-American. First team.
That can't happen unless you. I was about to say, did he even wrestle in college?
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Because wow, what are the scouts saying? Are you hearing about him across the league? And I'm not just talking about the title. I'm just saying, what were they saying at the Senior Bowl about this guy?
They were intrigued, to say the least. I mean, they were, and of course those guys, they're stoic. They're not,
like, oh, well, yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't know if he's a draftable player.
Right.
That size is eventually going to give him. What he's going to do against the 6'5" guy? I'd love to see. Did he ever go against the Kentucky guy, the D tackle, the 6'7"?
Deion Walker.
Right. height.
6'7", 340.
I wanted to see what happened
there. And I think he did go against him, and I think he actually held his own in day one, if I'm not mistaken. To your point.
Comparison to see how he would match up in the league.
That's what it just intrigues me about this game is when you get to these all-star games like this, if you get an invite, you've done something. Something's intriguing. Like, for example, they had Will Howard, the quarterback for Ohio State. He dropped out of this, obviously, because the college football championship was just the other day. And so a lot of those guys, and you figured that was going to happen. So they bring in this kid, Taylor Elgersma, and he is from London, Ontario, Canada, and nobody really knows much about him because he hadn't been to all these Manning passing camps.
Oh, yeah, it was a quarterback. I had no idea who he was. I looked him up yesterday.
Yeah, 6'5", 216.
Watching the practice.
Yeah. And but comes with a huge resume from Canada. But what does that translate to here? And you saw the first couple of days, ball size is different. The metrics are different. And so he got a little more zip on it as you got later in the week. But it was just interesting to see a guy like that because, again, now he's been working with that QB country. That camp, he went to the Birmingham camp. There's one of those here in Nashville. Oh. And, in fact, the guy, David Morris, that was Eli Manning's backup quarterback at Ole Miss, that runs all the Manning camps, he's the one that started that several years ago. Right. And it's kind of like D1 athletics. So there's a QB country. But this guy's been at QB country. He basically won the equivalent of the Canadian Heisman Trophy last year, the Heck
That's what they said
Award.
On the TV. Yeah, he had it up under his name.
Yep.
You know what made me look him up? I was like, man, I've seen every logo of a helmet, but I didn't know what school that was.
What is,
It was like an eagle.
Golden Eagles of Wilfrid Laurier University.
And I said, man, it just pissed me off that I didn't know what school it was. So that's what made me look them up.
And you pride yourself in going, oh, yeah, that's a Tulane Green Wave. That's this, that's that.
Right, that's
whatever.
Like, how do I not know what school
What is that?
Right, and then Heisman.
Well, you weren't supposed to know. It came from Ontario, Canada.
This guy's from Canada. Wow. I said Jim Nagy is really going outside the box here, and then he looked, pretty solid. I don't know where he projects, probably mid to late round guy, but I don't know. I really like, even though his arm strength wasn't great, I just like how he throws the football and he's well schooled. I watched him in college. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Sloss? Or whatever from Louisville.
Oh, Tyler Shuck.
Shuck, okay, right. And his arm talent isn't off the chart. No. But his timing and understanding the game was off the charts in my mind. Now, his arm talent is probably late rounder. Yeah. But I like what I saw from him just from a timing standpoint.
Both he and the Memphis quarterback, Seth Hennigan, I think had some nice reps.
I've been talking about Hennigan for the last 2 weeks because when I watched him, I know his history. He's from Texas, if I can recall. His dad coached him in high school.
I believe that's correct.
He was everything for 3 years in high school. And guess what? Freshman of the year, what's the conference they're in Memphis? AAC? What conference are they in now? Conference USA?
Yes.
One of the two. Yeah, and he was all freshman team, and then he made all conference, and he started all 4 years. And you go watch him, you go, uh-oh. I think we got something here. And I think he's going to move up the board. If anybody's watching, I think he's a mid-round guy. But I had him off the radar until I was watching a highlight. And I go, man, but who is this guy right here? He stood out every time I watched him. So I said, man, this guy's going to be pretty good. And then for him to get, I think was he a late invite to the Senior Bowl?
He was.
Yeah, because I didn't notice him on there. And I was like, man, maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe he's not a draftable player.
Yeah.
I think that's what people thought. But I think he's just as good as Slots or any other quarterback that was there in that middle tier, 4th, 5th, 6th, round guy.
Yep.
I like what I saw. And he can move around a little bit.
All right, so we're going to wrap up hour one of Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach Lyons. It's a Run It Back Friday on this program. And next hour, going to be big time Run It Back because the hitman over here across from me, Blaine Bishop, he played in Super Bowl 34 in Atlanta, Georgia, January 30th, 2000, 25 years ago yesterday. And I'm going to ask him about what he remembers about that week.
I don't remember nothing.
Well, yeah.
I got knocked out.
The teaser, man. We're supposed to do the teaser.
Oh, I was just kidding. That went to the fourth quarter, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to get to that for sure because, God, do I remember that. Holy Moses. But anyway, we're going to go down memory lane, and I think you're going to enjoy it on this Friday as you listen to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone. Hour 2 of Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on Zone TV, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and the F&M Bank chat. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach Lyons on a Run It Back Friday alongside the Hitman here. And I teased it last hour, and I mean it when I say it. I got to thinking about this riding back from the Senior Bowl yesterday. The 25th anniversary of Super Bowl 34, Atlanta, Georgia, January 30th, 2000.
You said it was yesterday.
Yeah. 25 years ago yesterday, you played in that ball game. Still wild to think about. It seems like yesterday, yet some days it feels like it was 25 years ago. It's one of those weird things, you know? But
so true.
So thinking about that, leading up to that week, what do you remember about that week?
Wow. The hyperbolic speed up of squeezing everything in a short period of time. I mean, from getting family tickets to we're going to leave here, you got to pack, we got to go on the day off. So luckily for us, it was close. So that, really made it a lot easier.
And to preface all that this wasn't the 2-week wait between conferences. You had 1 week in between.
The next week.
Roll on.
Yeah. Then all the media obligations.
Right.
Especially, for all the, I guess, elite
the impending
players.
ice storm coming to Atlanta.
Ice storm. I about broke my neck multiple times just getting off the bus coming from practices. It was, oh man, it was a hoop. But it's all worth it. But man, I sure wish we would have had 2 weeks. That would have been a lot nicer in my mind, just for preparation purposes with all the media obligations. So it's a lot of that. So yeah, that's kind of what I remember there. But the ice, and then that was the Ray Lewis deal. So that became a big thing.
And that was just down the street from where we were staying on Peachtree.
So that
I remember hearing the sirens in the middle of the night.
What is going on around here? And I say Ray Lewis, but it was other people involved.
Well, sure.
But so with all that situation, so that became the, really the topic of discussion there later in the week. So, but yeah, it was, you're all excited about, playing the Super Bowl, boyhood dream of mine. Getting to, playing that, which I thought would never, ever really ever come to fruition there. So that was really unique in itself. And, man, I just had to kind of control my nerves throughout the week and kind of pace myself to get to that point where it all came together there. And before I, hyperventilate and can't breathe. So,
listen, I can't imagine all that.
That was probably the biggest thing. I mean, when you're sitting in your room, and especially the night before. Usually I sleep like a baby the night before the games, but this game here, man, I had problems sleeping. I was watching TV, trying to relax. It just never, it was not working. And luckily we played the night before so I could sleep during the day, but the next day. So, that's how how significant that game was to the players, myself included. So yeah, that was pretty much it for me. So and what the real thing is trying to. I'm not gonna call them distraction, but all the noise that goes around the Super Bowl and the attention that it gets. To stay the course of your everyday routine that I had and all the players have. Throughout the week to get prepare for a game. And that was just way to the far left for that.
All right, I'm going to give you an example of what I remember that would lean to what you're talking about right there, which I can't imagine how just trying to keep it in the middle of the road and keep some semblance of normalcy in a game week, because it's still a game week, but it's the game. Mm-hmm. The game. So in the team hotel there on Peachtree, we would come back from covering press conferences, and that's when I realized this is the Dad Blame Super Bowl. This is amazing. Like, this is it. And it's a who's who. You never know who you're going to see. Like, going to pick up my credentials, I was riding the escalator down to the bottom of this, I forget what hotel it was, where you pick them up. In front of me is the late Andy Rooney of 60 Minutes. Behind me, this big hand taps me on the shoulder. Hey, son, where do we get our credentials? I turn around, it's Deacon Jones. I said, Mr. Jones? Oh, wow. I said, follow me. So we got off, and there's Radio Row down there, and I see people, and I ended up getting an interview with, there was, who was it? Donovan McNabb was down there making the rounds. Just finished his rookie year. Oh. Joe Namath is down there. I'm like, oh, wow, this is it. So anyway, flash forward to the days that follow. Just in the team hotel, I remember seeing a lot of y'all's families, spouses.
Right.
And we were interviewing some of y'all. I remember I interviewed Terry Killen's parents one night, just, because they were just milling around in the lobby downstairs. But I also remember seeing who happened to be staying or hanging out at the same hotel. And one night, Madonna and Rodman. When they were dating.
Watch this. What was iPhone even existing?
Oh no. That's what I'm saying. No, because if it did, there'd be a record of it right now.
You'd have pictures.
You'd go find it on YouTube, right? But I remember seeing it. I was like, "Holy, you know what? That's Madonna and Dennis Rodman."
Yeah. So you had a lot of free time, so you were down in the lobby. I was trying to stay in room and rest and stay off my feet. Sure. So you got to see a lot of the stuff. I didn't get to enjoy it like you did.
And we would riding the elevator up to our rooms. One night I rode with Kellen Winslow Sr. and Kenny Smith, NBA.
Oh yeah, I know Kenny from
practice. You just never knew who you were going to talk to. Dan Patrick the night after everything was over. I remember going to y'all's post-Super Bowl party. I think Travis Tritt was playing in that thing. But it was wild. It was all surreal. And that's just my little thoughts of it. I'm just tagging along doing radio stuff. But, all right, so you kind of gave me that. And then near the end of the third quarter in this ball game, Kurt Warner finds Ernie Conwell over the middle, and the heat-seeking missile wearing number 23, Blaine Bishop, had his target on lock, and then there was a collision, and then you were on the turf of the Georgia Dome for 10 minutes.
Is that how long I was on there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It scared the bejesus out of me. I thought, I knew you'd knocked yourself out, but I'm like, did he break his neck? Like, what has happened here? And I can't even imagine what your family was thinking at the time, just seeing all that, the way and it was just a bang, bang, quick play. So much of the fact, I've told you this before, when the game was over, the very first thing I did when I made my way into the locker room is I asked Dr. Burton Elrod about you. He said, oh, no, he's going to be all right. I'm like, whoa, hey. Like, he was down there for 10 minutes. Like, I'm not looking for gleaning information here, but are you sure? Right. He's like, yeah, he going to be all right.
Yeah. You know what? Now you telling me I was down there for 10 minutes. A lot of it was discussion. Now, after I woke up, naturally. And at the time.
And you were ready to go out and just, I was going to
play again.
Let's go.
I couldn't remember exactly what happened. And that was the only time I'd ever been knocked out in a game ever before in my life. And that was the last one. And I couldn't remember everything that actually happened until I saw it on ESPN when I got to my room. Then I go, then everything came back to me. But at that time, it did not. And but they asked me questions like, do you know where you're at? And I start laughing. And I said, I'm at the Super Bowl. Quit playing with me. And they was like, Blaine, we think something's wrong with your neck. And I go, oh, nothing's wrong with my neck. I'm coming back in the game. They said, you're absolutely not coming back in this game. And I said, oh, but I am. And they said, we're rolling out the card and you're going out on a stretcher.
Yeah.
So we're going to pin you down so you stabilize your neck. And I said, but I'm pretty sure I can move my neck. He says, but we're going to err on the side of caution here, which was right by Elrod.
Because there's 130 million people watching.
Yeah. So it was
wow.
Kind of.
And I know you went to the hospital. Did you stay the night in the hospital?
No, it was actually in the stadium.
Okay.
So I was in the stadium.
I gotcha.
And they cut my helmet off.
Yep.
And they had a radio in there, and they're listening to the game. And as they're cutting my helmet off and, doing all the x-rays and things, I'm sitting in an MRI machine, actually. And, I was like, oh, man, we got a shot of winning. I'm still thinking, I'm coming back in. They were like, no, that is not happening.
I said, well, pass.
Right. So I was like, but we're driving down. We're gonna win this game. We're gonna tie it up. And they said, yeah, that's what's happening. And I was kind of, just kind of a little bit out of it, but at the same time excited that we had a shot.
Sure.
And then, hearing how it all happened and we lost. And then at that point in time, everything's off. I'm done. So I walk with a neck brace on across the field because where the MRI machine was located, had to walk across the field all the way to the other side to get to the buses because you guys were all waiting for me there, and to see all the graffiti and everything on the field. Yeah. And that's what I remember, walking across that field with nobody in the stadium, with me and my family, by the way, and my wife and my mother and everybody that was there. And, it was like, this is not the last time I want to be on this field, is what I was thinking. I want to be at another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was really determined, elated that they did a great job with my neck. I didn't have to get any surgeries or anything like that. Just kept me from hitting anybody all off season. Once I got, good enough to work out and everything else, and then that first hit all came, and then everything was great, But
and had a great year in 2000.
Yeah,
so.
I thought 2000 was probably my best season, and because I was motivated to come back and get to that game.
Well, it was y'all's best chance to go.
The best that I had ever played in my entire career. It was my mission too. So I trained myself. I changed a little bit of my diet. I wanted to be more where I'm out covering, because with all the issues with the Rams, I thought we were going to play them again in the Super Bowl. That's what I was thinking in my mind. And I said, when we come back there, I'm a guard whoever I need to guard one-on-one, because there were some times I was one-on-one with Isaac Bruce. I was one-on-one with Torrey Hood. I'm like, what were we doing here? I'm not supposed to be on these teams. I'm timeout. But I didn't call timeout. I made a couple plays, so I was happy about that. But at the same time, I want to be ready for whatever is put upon me to help us get back there. And I really believe that next year's team was the best team that I played on, and we came up short with the Ravens beating us in the play. But us and the Ravens were the best team in the NFL entirely that season. So, I was thoroughly, as much as I was upset about getting hurt and we lost and everything, I was even more so hurt that we didn't make it back there. Because here's the difference. That team, we grew our confidence that we would be a Super Bowl contender team. As the season went on, we knew we were a dominant team. The next year in 2000, we knew we were a good team. We knew we were dominant, and we expected to win every freaking game, and there was no doubt about it when we played. I mean, the Giants ended up playing the Ravens, and we blew out the Giants week 10 or whatever.
And you would have done it again in Super Bowl.
We would have done it. Yeah, it was
just,
nowhere
just
around
like the Ravens did.
Ravens did. Yeah. So it was, that was one of the games I only played like 3 quarters. I played half of the third quarter. Yeah, we boat raced them that bad here at home, and then nobody beat us at home.
Yep.
So that's what looking back on my career, not just the Super Bowl, but the next year, that one probably hurt just as much for me, even though we didn't make it to the big dance.
All right. Memories. You got them? Call us, 615-737-1045. 25th anniversary week of Super Bowl 34 with Blaine Bishop and his teammates there. And if you want to talk a Senior Bowl, you want to talk about prospects, whatever you want to talk about, we can line it up in this next segment here, 615-737-1045, as you listen to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, Rhett Bryan filling in on 1045, The Zone.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 26 years. We've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn of a backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said, you.
Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, continues on this Run It Back Friday, 104.5 The Zone. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach Lyons, who is going to finish up his week in Mobile with the 76th annual Reese's Senior Bowl tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. And the hitman, Blaine Bishop, he and his teammates played in Super Bowl 34 25 years ago yesterday, 25 years ago this week. So we asked you just a few moments ago, 615-737-1045, where were you that week? Where were you that day? What were you doing? Favorite memory of that week? And obviously it didn't end like anybody wanted, but it was the Super Bowl after all. And it was a special, special time. In Middle Tennessee and the Mid-South, for that matter. Going to the phones right here. Aaron has been waiting patiently. Aaron in Nashville, you're on with a hitman. What's up?
Oh, man, that game really tore my heart apart. I remember where I was. I was throwing flags in my grandmother's living room watching that game. I just want to throw back a memory from when y'all remember when Mariota called an audible and Derrick Henry rushed for 99 yards at one time.
Absolutely, Aaron. We sure do.
Oh, yeah, that was here, right?
That was right, against the Jags.
That was the one game I was at, and I hate that we lost that Super Bowl, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Aaron. Thank you. Yeah, he's talking about the King Henry's run, 99 yards, longest run in franchise history. It was a Thursday night game against the Jaguars here in late November 2018.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome to watch there. That was,
and about 4 stiff arms on the way.
Oh, man. You know what's so funny? It took me back because, you know, how often do you see a 90-yard run? What comes to mind when you think another play of 99 yards? And I'm going to just say this, TD. Mm-hmm. Is that the first thing comes to your mind? The only other time? And we were both kids at the time watching on TV, but Tony Dorsett going 99 yards versus
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. And that was big there. That was the Vikings, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so and I was like, wow, but that was a much more impressive run there by Derrick Henry, even though both of them were great runs, by the way. It was more TD just outrunning everybody, where Henry was running through people, straight arming people, and all of that.
Well,
so
and I'll give you another one.
Much bigger guy.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you another one that when I think about a home run threat and runner, just electric, and saw him this week in Senior Bowl. That Senior Bowl is Chris Johnson, CJ2K. When you sit and think about that window of time, he's one of the very few players where you go, okay, you get the ball in his hands and it could go to the house anytime.
You may know better than me, but as much as I've watched the Titans, you have watched probably more. I think he's the most electric player that's ever played in a Titans uniform. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I don't know that you are, because he was like whatever exotic car. He was like a Ferrari on the Autobahn. He could, when he got past the line of scrimmage, I've never seen a guy in a Titans uniform hit 6th gear.
There was about a 3-year window, too, when this was happening.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was, wow.
I've never seen a guy hit 6th gear that quick. And people forget how fast he was laterally, side to side. He was. I mean, people have had these nicknames. You know, I forget who it was. The running back, the human joystick, the kid in Chicago.
Oh, right.
But I mean, this dude, legit.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? And I had never seen this in the NFL. And I watched it growing up. I played it, and then I'm covering it. I would stand up every time he touched the ball, sitting up there in Titans radio so you can see the field, you could see things about to happen. I thought he could score every time. You know the only time I ever thought that was happening? In little leagues. He was doing it at the NFL level.
Right.
It was pretty astonishing to see something like that. Now, that's why I say that's the only player I've seen that had it to be that electric and to think that he could score every time he touched the ball, knowing that he was getting the ball most of the time, even as a receiver, by the way.
Right.
So that's what puts him over the top. I mean, there's been some great players. We all know them. But, man, I think CJ2K, he was the most electrifying guy in Titans history.
I mean, he had a 94-yarder against the Jets here one of those years.
Is that the catch?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then he bulldozed somebody in the beginning of that one, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my gosh.
And then, of course, him hit thunder and lightning in Kansas City when they ran for 332 yards, and he ran up as a celebration and played the bongos.
Oh, man.
That was fun times. Fun times. Let's go to the phones here. 615-737-1045. Jack in Millersville, you're on with Blaine Bishop.
See, I go back to those days when they came here.
Yeah.
I grew up in East Texas, just outside Houston, with the Oilers, back to Bum Phillips and Love You Blue and all that. By the time Blaine and Eddie and those guys came in, I'd already moved somewhere else. So when I found out they were coming up here, I was like, oh, really? And then they wandered in the wilderness for those couple of years.
Yep.
And you really didn't know what to expect. I mean, they're practicing out of trailers out in Bellevue.
Yep.
This is NFL.
By Bellevue Mall. That's right.
And then the stadium opens.
Yeah.
They come in, and after everything they've been through, all they were looking for was somebody to kick their up over their shoulders. And this town went nuts for them.
Mm-hmm.
This town is going to take one hell of a team to ever replace the teams that Blaine was on, the OG Titans, in all of our hearts.
Mac and Eddie.
It'll never,
Freak.
because that was the Titans for all of us that were there in those days. And yeah, maybe the Super Bowl, but the thing about it, the way I look at it, if they lost on the very last play of the game by a handful of inches, I ain't going to complain.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, Jack, I want to ask you this. Do you think of all these hard times, you talked a little bit about our hard times. We were the Tennessee Oilers that time. And Rhett, you can chime in here after Jack, gives us his answer and hangs up. Do you think revision is history and that it could happen again moving into a new stadium after these hard times? Maybe a little tougher hard times, but I'm a big guy who thinks failure then leads to parabolic success because it's going to determine who you really are after you have some down times.
Well, Blaine, I never played, but I've watched it all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fixing to be 70. And two things I'm sure of. In the NFL, it's cyclical.
Yep.
You have those great Cowboy teams with Staubach in that bunch. Look how long till Emmett and those guys come around.
Mm-hmm.
Same way with the Steelers, same with the Packers. It's cyclical, but at the same time, I've seen more than a few, like Washington this year, where everything just fell together in the right place and you're off to the races. So sure, I think it could happen here, but I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to happen if she keeps digging a hole and filling it in. Fire coach, fire general manager, fire coach, fire general manager. You keep having to redig and refill the same holes over and over, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So if she can ever break herself of that and do, she talks about getting the right people in and let them do their job.
Mm-hmm.
If she let them do it long enough, there ain't no telling.
All right, Jack.
All right, thanks, Jack.
Appreciate your call.
Well, hey, I got to give her credit. Hey, the Texans went through that same thing, and guess what? I can't falter for trying to get it right. That's all I can say really about that. Whatever her decision is, hey, we can like it, not like it. Hopefully, she wants to win, that she gets it right at some point in time, and then they take off. So we've seen all the guys they've hired now. So the up top in management and the football side, man, it's some heavy hitters now.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's why it's so important to get it right now. Mm-hmm. Because in 2 years, you're opening that shiny new building. Mm-hmm. And if your trajectory is on the right way up, it could be something fun.
Mm.
And look, listen, I know I hear callers every day calling in here and how angry they are and how disappointed they are, especially the ones that invest their time, their money, their all of those. Yes, you want that. You don't want apathy. You want them mad because they care. But I know, as my granddad would say, the sun shines on a dog's rear end every once in a while, and we just need a little sunshine. That's all it is. Yeah. Hey, F&M Bank Chat, some really cool stuff in here. So here's a guy that says, I remember Blaine playing as a rookie in 93 and watching the Oilers beat the 49ers on Christmas Day, and Blaine balled out. That from Nick on the FNM Bank Chat.
I really appreciate that. That's a true Titan fan there, as even, Oiler fan there. That was my first career start on national TV on Christmas Day.
How about that?
In my rookie year.
And Nick was there. He remembers that.
And I was about to pee down my pants. I was that nervous because all week, Bubba McDowell, who was a Pro Bowler, he had knee issues all that season. So I was spot playing a little bit. So I had some experience. I was playing nickel, dime. I was playing, but I was never the starter until that day. And so he hadn't practiced all season, but he would play in the game. So I didn't know I was playing. They said this week maybe you may play, but they get downplayed it. But I was running all the ones rep and all that. They told me right before starting lineup, Blaine, you're starting.
Boop.
That's exactly what I did. Boop. And I'm looking around at all these vets that's in the huddle because they had a veteran team. Looking at Al Smith and him headbutting me. I'm going, boom. I'm like, oh, my God, I got a migraine. Oh, my God. So then I ran over to the goalpost and ran into it again. Yeah, and got ready. And then when I lined up in that slot on Jerry Rice, my legs was shaking. I was like, oh, my God.
Well, yeah, it's Jerry Rice, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah. And I looked at Steve Young, and Steve Young looked dead at me like, oh, yeah, we're going to get you, young buck. Little did he know that I was blitzing, and I caused the fumble, picked it up.
Uh-oh.
And ran. Yeah, so it was, as much as that then leveled the playing field and made me calm after that, and that I belong now, on the field as a starter, and you could tell by my teammates all celebrate me and everything else, but that was an exciting time. I'll never forget that. I may forget a lot of different things.
That's your
about
welcome
playing,
to the NFL moment right there.
Welcome to the NFL, my first start, man. And was I elated for all the people who helped me even get to that point, man. It was really fabulous. And I really didn't think about it until after the game. I can't even remember if we won that game. I think we won. We did win. It was a low-scoring game. So I was super excited because it was guys that I watched in high school and college, and they were elite level guys. Jerry Rice, we had the same agent, me and Jerry Rice, so he was talking crap to the agent all week, like, you better not put Blaine out there, I'm going to get him. And so it was pretty interesting, and they had, I think, who was the other receiver? Stokes. J.J. Stokes.
J.J. Stokes, UCLA, yes.
Yeah. And then they had Brent Jones, who was a high-level
the tight end. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was a really exciting time, one that I'll never forget.
Why?
My entire career.
Because here you are, you're like, okay, not only am I hanging with these guys, I'm playing against these guys, and I'm making plays against these guys.
That was pretty cool.
Household names.
Yeah, guys who were established.
How about you, Dub, here in the FNM Bank Chat? That parade the Tuesday after the Super Bowl was insane. I agree with Blaine that 2000 team was just different. Lost Dyson, Thigpen, and Pickens, and had only Derek Mason and Chris Sanders.
Yep. Maybe
But that parade, wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what I could say? I was not there.
You were not.
I was not there.
You were not.
I was laying in the bed with a neck brace.
Yeah.
I was there for the AFC Championship at the podium, but I was not there at the parade.
By the way, that was a wild night. So you guys had beaten them twice in the regular season.
Yeah.
That's one of my fondest memories of that whole road to the thing. I mean, yes, the miracle. Yes, the divisional win in Indianapolis and in your stomping grounds. But that deal with the Jags, I'll never forget that. We stayed at Sawgrass, where the TPC Tours Player Championship, and
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I just remember the vibes from everyone in that city. Everyone running, talking smack. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got them this time. Yeah. These fools, we got them this time. I mean, even like
the odds were in their favor to beat a team 3 times. I had to even feel like, man, we're going to be. And I really respected them. They were a really elite team, and they had some great players at the skill guys. So I was always looking like, man, we're going to have to play our best.
Keenan McCardell.
Oh,
I mean, just you can start running.
Freddie T, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what's going on.
And Freddie T will be. He'll have a gold jacket. I mean, it's overdue now. But I remember even like the morning of. There's the lady on the local weather. Going to be a beautiful day at Alltel Stadium for the Jaguars to put a thumping on Tennessee. just nice and neighborly. And just everyone. And then just remembering, Mac 9 having that big run to take them to the 1. You guys put it in. Yeah. I mean, Derek Mason's big return.
Yeah, that kind of turned it there.
Getting home, I remember there was a champagne toast on the flight. And as we got closer to Nashville, the plans changed that all these people were going to be at the stadium waiting for y'all.
Well, at that time, we used to walk through the airport. So you had to find a way to find your way through the crowd. That was incredible.
Now, that was after the Indianapolis game.
Oh, that was the Indy game?
That was the Indy game.
I thought it was the Jag game.
I bet there was 10,000 people in the airport.
Oh, it was I couldn't believe it. I was outdone when I saw that. But yeah, coming to the stadium, it was probably about 30,000 guys.
The whole lower bowl on the on the Titans sideline. And it was cold that night.
Yeah, it was.
But I remember, because, I mean, here we were riding on the charter with y'all, and we got in buses, and we walked out of the tunnel, just seeing all. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, we just had that number. We just had the number.
And that's when it hit me. I'm like, this is it. Yeah. This is the biggie.
Well, it hit me after in the first round when we beat the Bills with the Music City Miracle. I was a big proponent on things happen for a reason. And we were a team of destiny at that point in time. That play was not run anywhere near all the different times that we ran it. Even myself included ran that play. But just for it to actually work and watch it and then see it work, I said we are a team of destiny from that point on. And it was unbelievable. And we did go on that run and we just came up short. But
Blaine, to double down on that, you didn't even have the same personnel.
Yeah, right.
Like
not the guys who really was the main guys.
Dice wasn't even supposed to, right?
Yeah, supposed to be D. Mace,
right. And I think he had a concussion, maybe. Mm-hmm. Isaac Bird had a quad injury, like that. He was like the fourth guy in line.
Yeah. So that just to see that happened in Lowry, Al Lowry, the special team coach, to come up with that. I think they did something similar to that back at Texas back in his day.
Yep,
in
the 70s home run throwback.
Yeah, home run throwback. So that was, I thought from that point on, man, this is it. So that was pretty cool. But I can't imagine being on the other side of the fans. And then, coming back, speaking of the fans, when we got back to the stadium after AFC Championship game, beating the Jags, that was unforgettable. That was one of another moments, when my day is called, I'm going to be thinking about some of those days. I will.
Let's go back to the phones real quick. Kevin in Spring Hill, you were at the parade. Tell us about it.
I sure was. We watched that game. Couldn't believe that 13-3 was only good enough to be a wild card that year, and that took care of business with the Music City Miracle. I was at that. Never felt cement move so immensely when Kevin come running back towards us, and then the plays under review, dead silence, and then after further review, boom, no penalties, no flags. Cement moved that day. That's why we need a new stadium right now. But that night was cold when everybody was going to go to the airport again, and we were all like, the airport authority basically said, no, let's not do that. And somehow they got volunteers to open up some of the concession stands, and we poured into that lower bowl, like you said, and that was a very magic time in Titans history, and I'm glad to say that I was there and part of it.
Kevin, appreciate the call. That's awesome. He's right. Concrete did move that day. That building shook.
Yeah, there was no way they were going to return it. And it's just how, as a player, I wasn't keen to actually the rules. I was standing right there when they threw the ball, and I didn't realize it's like where you release the ball and the traction of it. Now, I was looking at Wycheck's body, where he threw the ball. And I go, ooh, this is going to be really close. And while they were over there, reviewing it under the tent, everything, the fans are throwing stuff at them. I was like, there's no way they can overturn it. If they do, they won't make it out of the stadium. There was no way.
Do you remember who it was that made the review?
No, I do
Phil
not.
Luckett.
Oh,
remember Phil Luckett?
Wow. Good pull there. Yeah.
But that, wow. And he's right. That night from the AFC Championship game, January 23rd, I think it was about 30 degrees here in Nashville that night. It was cold.
Oh, yeah, it was cold.
It was definitely cold.
Yeah, I just said we pulled out a can of whoop ass. That was the keen part of my whole speech right there.
Well, and you know what? Some of y'all guys could have run for governor that night and been elected. Yeah. It was that electric. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap up Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan filling in for Zach this afternoon. We still have some folks on the line, 615-737-1045 from the playoff run and Super Bowl week 25 years ago this week on Blaine's team back then. Wow. That's all as you listen to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach here on 1045, The Zone.
The Titans.
I love living in Middle Tennessee. We've got great restaurants, entertainment, sports, and one of the nation's top Ford dealers right here in our backyard. Two Rivers Ford. Remember that name. Two Rivers has been a staple in our community since 1983. They're locally owned. They have a non-commissioned sales team, and they sell below MSRP. They've been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Back to wrap up A Run It Back Friday edition of Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Rhett Bryan in for Zach Lyons on 104.5 The Zone. We're talking a little memory lane here because Blaine Bishop, Gen 1 Titan, as I call him, and his teammates.
Gen 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, building blocks.
I'm going to steal that from
Gen 1 Titan. They just finished 25 years ago this week playing at Super Bowl 34 in Atlanta, Georgia against the Los Angeles, it's me, the then St. Louis Rams.
Just think about that now. The stadium is no longer there
No,
either.
sir. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Georgia Dome. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's why we're getting a new stadium.
It happens.
Exactly.
We see it right here, right? Yeah. Let's go back to the phones with some memories of that week and that playoff run. Scott in Goodlettsville, you've been waiting patiently. What's up, Scott?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Thanks for taking my call. I'm gonna tell you, I was living in Chicago during that time, and the only reason why I followed the Titans because I went on a college tour, football recruiting tour to St. Joe's and Rensselaer, and I met a young man that was still a short guy. They said he was fast as a hiccup, and that he wouldn't be he should be playing Division I football. That was Blaine Bishop, and Blaine was real nice to me, and the guys I ended up going to real Blaine. But the only reason why I was following the team was because of you, and I was working at a box plant that year. Oh, wow. And I remember watching the game, and back then, it wasn't cell phones, it wasn't, NFL, Apple, anything like that. So I'm listening to the game on the radio, and I'm sitting in the car, and this is when the field goal, I forget the kicker for Buffalo, kick the field goal, and then I'm sitting in the car just dejected because I got to go to work. I'm about to be late. And then the whole thing, man, it was just like it was for me, that's when I become a real Titan fan. And I ended up moving down here, and I just love these guys, man. Win, lose, or draw, man, I'm a big-time Titan fan, was a Florida Bears fan. But because of you, Blaine, I followed that game, and I followed you guys, and, man, that Super Bowl was only thing we didn't get was the win, but I enjoyed watching that Super Bowl. But thanks for the memories, fellas.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, Scott. Appreciate you calling.
To me, man. For him to say St. Joseph's, and I know a lot of people don't know that story, but I'll tell a brief real quick. I wasn't highly recruited, after, in high school, everybody's, all state, all city, all metro, all those things. And naturally, I'm not the biggest guy, so everybody knows that. So, I went to a Division II program, a private Catholic school that doesn't even have a football program anymore. It was in Rensselaer, Indiana, and this is how much I bet on myself. I had never been to Rensselaer, Indiana myself until I went to the school. And I went there with a couple of buddies from my high school. And we went there, and I really was on a mission, and it really hurt me that I didn't get a chance to play Division I football. That's all I really wanted to do. All the other stuff was just ancillary, and, I didn't play in pro or anything. That wasn't crossed my mind. I just wanted to play Division I football. And so when I went there, the fourth game, they had some injuries of running back, and I was playing defensive back. So I wasn't playing running back. And they said, hey, you only have one running back up this week. Two of them got hurt, Blaine. We're going to, have a couple plays we're going to have run for you in this game. And maybe, so be ready. So we get in this game, and I score 4 different ways. 2 at running back, naturally 2 at defensive back, or 1 at defensive back, interception pick, and then I return a kick. And just so happened, this shows you why I always felt like I was the chosen one. After this game, unbeknown to me, the Jets and the Giants were there. They're scouts. They were there to watch some other player on the other team. I don't even remember the team we were playing. And as I come out of the locker room after the game, they say, hey, you're Blaine, man. You had a heck of a game, and hey, you got a shot at the National Football League. And I thought they were joking. They said, no. They point to their, golf shirts. Like, no, I'm with the Jets. He's with the Giants. You got a shot. I said, what? They say, man, you had a fantastic game. And so the season goes on. Then I make Division II All-American. I go back to my high school coach. He says, I am now a Division I player. Where should I go? He said, you can go to IU, Ball State, or Indiana State. Naturally, I didn't choose Indiana State. Its program wasn't real big at that time and still not. In Ball State, you'll start right away. IU, you may have to sit and wait a year before you play. I said, call Ball State. Call Ball State. That's how I got to Ball State. And the short glimpse, Cliff Note version. So their hints then started to define in my mind that I was who I thought I was and was capable of doing, and then took me to a whole nother level as far as confidence. Then when I'm there at Ball State, dominating from that point on.
And all it took was that little spark.
Bit. Yep, that little
just
spark.
a little.
You weren't even hope. It was hope.
You weren't even looking for that.
No, I was
not.
And
there it was.
Yeah, I thought that dream of playing Division I was over, and I'm just going to have fun, enjoy where I'm at school, and enjoy continuing playing football. That was it.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
Good story. All right, back to the phones we go. Tom in Bellevue, you have a very special story to talk to Blaine Bishop about. Tell us about where you were at the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Blaine, I happened to be sitting behind your family in the end zone. About 15, 20 rows up. They all had their 23s on.
Yeah.
We were in Nashville on Saturday night listening to George on the radio show, and he was talking about all the tickets that were for sale in his hotel that night. He was like, look, if you can get here, drive down here, there's tickets, So called my in-laws at the time, and they were season ticket holders, as was I, and talked them into getting up early Sunday morning, and we drove to the team hotel and hung out just downstairs in the lobby, just hanging out. And we ended up they got tickets from, I think, a trainer that was on the team they bought tickets from. And I bought one ticket from Marcus Robertson's family. One of his family members sold me a ticket. And so I ended up with a bunch of Titans families in that end zone. And so when you got hurt, that was pretty scary up in there. They were all upset and concerned. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm sitting right in front of them. So crazy game. Of course, we tied it up. I'm sitting there, and they throw the long ball. I guess, was it to Bruce maybe? And he came to that end zone and scored. And so they went up, and then we got the ball back. And, of course, we drove down, and I just knew we were going to go tie it up. I just knew it. And so as the play occurred at the other end of the field with Kevin Dyson, I thought we had scored. The crowd went crazy. We were so far away. Of course, we were in the other end zone.
Oh.
I thought we had scored. And everybody around us, I'm pretty sure your family as well, you might want to ask them, I think we all started jumping up and down thinking we scored. And the next thing I know, I see confetti falling from the roof. And I knew that we didn't score. And I was like, oh, my God. It was this range of highs and lows that was undescribable. But a great experience, and it was fun sitting behind you folks.
Unforgettable.
Tom, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah. Let's gotta get Eric and then CJ.
Yeah. Eric, quickly, favorite Titan Super Bowl memory. Go ahead, sir.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Hey, let's be rapid fire. I'm trying to be quick with everybody.
Yeah, I will. My favorite Super Bowl memory was I watched the game with a bunch of singles at my church. I'm single. I was in the singles department, and we watched the game at our pastor's house in Hermitage. He invited us to come over and watch the game with him. We had a great time, and boy, I'm sure you remember when Eddie scored that second touchdown. He had to really crawl in there. I was like, "Get in there, Eddie!"
Yeah, he fought.
Yeah. And he fought, but he got in. And when the Rams scored the go-ahead touchdown, when we got the ball back, I just knew Kevin Dyson had crossed the end zone. And then I heard Al Michaels say he didn't quite get in. We were like, oh, no, this can't be. But I'll tell you what, we had a great time cheering on the Titans. That was a great landmark moment for Nashville. Real quick, I'll never forget what Al Michaels said. Al Michaels was doing play-by-play. When that last play happened, he said, folks, there was a movie out once entitled The Longest Yard. Here is your sequel. He hit it on the nail.
Wow. Great stuff, Derek.
I appreciate it, Eric. CJ Ecke, we did not have a chance to get to you. We are out of time, unfortunately. Zach Lyons will be back on Monday when they kick off another week of Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach. Fun today with the BB.
No doubt. But in the meantime,
and in between time, peace.